Welcome back to Sip the Tally Films. I'm your host, Coach Evans, and today we're going to get into our New York Giants, Baltimore Ravens preview. I appreciate you guys for coming back. I'm sure you enjoyed the week of interviews, but now it's back to the business. So, without further ado, let's get into this New York Giants, Baltimore Ravens preview for Week 15 of the NFL season. And we'll get started here with our offensive and defensive comparisons for both sides. We'll start on the offensive side. And like we normally do, we're going to start with total yards. Baltimore Ravens are first in total yards. The New York Giants are 26. The Ravens have 422.5 total yards per game. In the passing game, the Ravens are fifth with 243.4, whereas the Giants are 28 at 185.5. Drop it down to the rushing category. We're second in rushing in the NFL with yards per game with 179.1, whereas the New York Giants, they're 15th at 115.6. Points per game, we're third, 29.5. New York Giants are dead last at 14.9 points per game. Sacks, meaning sacks that we've given up. We've given up 16. That puts us third in the NFL. Third best in the NFL. They've given up 42, which makes them 27. They're in the lower tier of protecting their quarterback. And then explosive plays, we're second, whereas they're 15th. So we have way more explosive plays than them, as opposed to they're middle of the road on it. They have some explosive plays. They got a few explosive players that we'll mention here in a minute. But for the most part, we get the second most explosive plays in the NFL. All right, let's slide on over to the defensive side. See where that comparison goes. Total yards for us, we're 22nd in total yards, 347.6, whereas the Giants are 16th with 336.4. And even though that's, it's only 6 places, so never mind. That's the yardage is not much difference. 9-yard difference, 11-yard difference. Passing yards, we're back at 32. Now, we had climbed out of that 32nd spot. And even though we didn't have a game, we went back down to it. But now everything is a realistic picture because everybody has played, everybody has had all of their bye weeks. So the number of games for everybody is even. But we're back in that 32nd spot. But the plus side of that for me is about 3 weeks ago, maybe even 4 weeks ago, this number was 299.8 or something like that. Basically, rounded up, it was 300 yards a game. They've got it down to 265 yards a game. And again, even though it's still last, I like the improvement, and hopefully we can get it down a little further and be a competent defense. Passing yards for the Giants, they're sixth. They only give up 191 yards per game. 191 yards per game. Rush yards, we're first with 82.7. They're 29th at 141.7, which should tell you a lot about what the strategy this week should be. Points per game, and this is points given up. We give up 24.5. That's 23rd in the league. They give up 16, which is 22nd in the league. Sacks we've gotten, we're third. We got 41. They're sixth. They got 38. And then takeaways, meaning turnovers, fumbles, loss, stuff like that. We're 11th. We're 25th with only 11, but they're worse. They're 29th with only 8. Let's get into some of the individual players for both teams, some comparisons, and we'll take a look at that right here. All right, let's take a look at the quarterback comparison for Sunday's game. Now, it's going to be extremely lopsided. You got the 2-time MVP going up against Tommy Cutlets, as they call him. And so the stats are going to be one-sided, but here you go. Lamar's played in 13 games, whereas DeVito's 2. Lamar's record this season as a starter is 8-5-1. DeVito's 0-1. Completion percentage, 67 by Lamar, 67.7 by DeVito. Yards per game, 329 for Lamar. DeVito 189. Yards per attempt, 8.7. DeVito 6.1. Passing yards per game, 253 for Lamar, 94 for DeVito. Passing touchdowns, 29 for Lamar. Interceptions, 3, which should be 0, but we're not going to talk about that today. And 0 touchdowns and 0 interceptions for DeVito. Quarterback rating on the season 116.3 for Lamar, 83.9 for DeVito. And keep in mind, DeVito has only played, he started one game and played another, so he only has 2 games under his belt, whereas Lamar has been under the center for every snap so far for the Baltimore Ravens. Rush yards for Lamar, 678, whereas DeVito has 32. And again, DeVito's on a much limited pitcher. Let's take a look at the running back. All right, we got Derrick Henry and Tyrone Tracy Jr., who's a rookie for the Giants, are 2 feature backs that we're going to talk about here for a second. Both have played in 13 games. Derrick Henry out-rushing him by 99 carries, 240 to 141. Rushing yards, Derrick has more than doubled Tyrone's rushing yards. Derrick has 1,407. Tyrone has 664. Rushing yards per attempt, Derrick at 5.9, Tracy at 4.7. Rushing TDs, Derrick has 13, which I think leads the league, whereas Tracy has 5. Receptions, Tyrone Tracy has 29 receptions and Derrick has 13. He has 216 yards out of the backfield as compared to Derrick Henry's 125. Yards per catch, yards per reception, whichever one you choose, Derrick is 9.6, whereas Tracy is 7.4. And then reception TDs, Derrick has 2, Tracy has none, and Tracy has also helped the Giants out on special teams with 3 kick returns for 61 yards. But we have the second best running back in the NFL at the moment, and hopefully this game leans back to a heavy dose of Derrick Henry getting, setting the stage for this winter football that's about to pop off. Wide receiver wise, let's check it out. These are the top receiving threats for both the New York Giants and the Baltimore Ravens. We have Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors for the Giants, Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers for the Ravens. And keep in mind, just receivers, not tight ends, not factoring in tight ends. But for the most part, all 4 guys have played in pretty much every game, with Malik Neighbors only playing in 11. Malik Neighbors leads this group with 80 catches. Right behind him is his teammate, Wan'Dale Robinson. Then he's followed up by Zay Flowers, then Rashad Bateman. Yards, as far as total receiving yards, Zay Flowers has the lead out of this group with 863, followed by Malik Neighbors with 819. Yards per catch, Rashad Bateman, 16.4. Followed by Zay with 14.4, and the other 2 guys for the Giants at 10.2 and 7.2 respectively. Receiving touchdowns, and I was shocked when I saw this. Bateman leads this group with 5 receiving touchdowns. Zay with 4, Malik Neighbors with 3, Wan'Dale with 2. Rushing attempts, Malik and Zay kind of get caught up in the jet sweep type stuff. Neither one has really had a lot of success. Zay having a little bit more with 44 yards on 7 attempts, and Malik 2 yards on 5 attempts. But these are the top receiving threats, and Zay is on his way to 1,000-yard season. Malik Neighbors could have 1,000-yard season as a rookie. Bateman is probably, I would say this is his best season that he's been in Baltimore, the most consistent he's been in Baltimore. And then Wan'Dale is, he's a younger guy as well. Not too much. I think he's probably in the same class with Bateman, maybe, or maybe a year older, but just not a bad player. But Malik is the dog on that, the alpha dog on that team, and it already shows. But these are this is the top receivers for both teams, and I think it's safe to say Zay's the best guy in this group, followed by Malik. Then it's a toss up between Wan'Dale and Bateman, but I'm gonna lean toward Bateman. Line. They have 2 guys, and the information is coming from PFF, 2 guys that are not even ranked. And what I mean is PFF will put you, like, if you're a wide receiver, they'll put you like 93rd out of however many wide receivers there are based off your grade. But these guys haven't, they don't even have like a ranking, these 2 guys. The first one being the left tackle, Joshua Zidu. His offensive grade is 58.8, and also the left guard, who is Aaron Stinney. His offensive grade is 70.6. Those 2 guys, let's see, only 44 snaps for Stinney, so he's fairly new. And as far as his Zidu, only 136 snaps. So newer starters up there. The center is 61.5, the right guard is 70.8, and the right tackle Evan Neal is 67 even. Going up against Oway, Big Zai, Travis Jones, Justin Matabike, Tavius Robinson, all guys over 66.2, with Matabike being the lowest rated out of those four. So I think we should do a good job of getting pressure on DeVito and stopping the run, based off the inexperience of the left side, and then the ability for us to shut down the run, being the number one run stopping team. I think we should take away the run from them easily, and then focus on that Neighbors, Slayton, Wandale Robinson combo, and even their tight end. If it's Bellinger or Belanger, however you say it, that guy as well too, because I know the last time we played them, he had a fire touchdown over Marlowe, which he went up and got that thing. But as far as their offensive line, we should have no problems getting pressure and or stopping the run versus that offensive line. Let's flip over to their defensive line, how it stacks up versus our offensive line. All right, on this side of the ball, what concerns me are their edges versus our tackles. Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns versus Ronnie Stanley, Roger Rosengarten. When Thibodeau or Burns are over Rosengarten, that will be the matchup I look at to see how he can handle it. I think he can handle Burns, but Thibodeau brings a little bit. Well, both of them have. No, never mind. I was going to say I think Thibodeau has more power to him, but Burns got a lot of power in his game as well. But so both of those guys over there on Rosengarten bother me. But there's no Dexter Lawrence in the middle, so I think outside zone, inside zone, mix in a few gap runs, and we should be able to easily run the ball on these guys. Now they do have a linebacker that I really like watching. Last week he had 5 TFLs, and actually it's gonna be a separate video from this, so you'll see it when that video come out. But they got a linebacker that I really like, runs around, gets after the ball, but that'll be in a separate video, just highlighting him right there. As far as skill guys, their cornerbacks Green, Stroman, Jackson, the lowest one being Green, 67.6, but I think our skill guys, have the ability to do what they need to do, especially when you factor in play action with Derrick Henry. So I look for not a big game from the receivers, but an efficient game from the receivers. I look for a big game in the run game. Few tidbits I will read to you about the Baltimore Ravens defense. The Ravens currently rank first in rush defense and 32nd in pass defense this season. We mentioned that earlier, and it's crazy how you're one in one category, last in the other, and still got a chance to be successful in this NFL. If it holds, the Ravens will be the 7th team in Super Bowl era to finish the season with the number 1 ranked rush defense and the number 32 ranked pass defense. Only one of the previous 6 teams finished with the winning record. So it's amazing for us to be pretty much guaranteed a winning record. And our rankings are so lopsided when it comes to offense and defense. This next one is about Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are averaging a combined 160.4 rushing yards per game entering Sunday. That only trails Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, also this year, for the most combined rushing yards per game by a single season quarterback-running back duo in NFL history. So Lamar and Derrick, along with Saquon and Jalen, are putting up record numbers as far as running the football. This one is about Lamar as well. Lamar is 5-1 in his career and starts immediately following the Ravens bye week. That is tied for the 4th best record over the last 20 seasons, behind only Peyton Manning, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes, with a minimum of 5 starts. Got 2 more I'm going to leave you with. Lamar Jackson has thrown a league-high 18 downfield touchdown passes, 10 plus air yards this season. while throwing just one interception, and that interception should have not been an interception. Look, Jackson's 57% completion percentage on such passes is the 4th highest in the NFL this season. Jackson has been particularly effective throwing down the field in the seams, completing 64.5% of the passes for 10 touchdowns and no interceptions. Jackson has also generated a positive 60.2 EPA on downfield passes to the seams in the seams this season, 20.9 more than the next closest quarterback. Can't throw, huh? Okay. Then the last insight has to do with Derrick Henry versus the Giants defense. Derrick Henry has forced the 3rd most missed tackles in the NFL this season, 78, gaining an additional 587 yards off said missed tackles, most in the NFL by 80 yards. Henry is now responsible for 5 of the top 12 seasons in yards gained off missed tackles since 2018, with no other running back having more than 2 seasons in the top 12. Matchup: the Giants have missed 13.6% of their tackle attempts this season, the 13th highest rating in the NFL, but have allowed 905 yards after missed tackles, the 2nd most in the NFL behind the Browns. So it looks like it's trending toward a good day for our run game, whether it be Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, and or Keaton Mitchell. And with all that being said, the keys of the game for me are very simple. Establish your run game, use your play action when need to, stay ahead of the chains, control the time of possession. It's a simple formula, but it's just going to take execution from the offensive side. Defensively, continue to stop the run, continue to communicate when it comes to pass situations, and put a lot of pressure on DeVito. Put a lot of pressure on DeVito to make accurate throws to Malik Neighbors and one Darrell Robinson and Slayton and the tight end. Put that pressure on DeVito to make those throws and see if he can make them. And by the time we figure out if he can or not, we should be up by 30. So with that being said, it leads into my prediction. I'm going 31 for us, 10 for the New York Giants. So I'm calling it 31-10 for us. I think we're going to take the foot off neck in the 4th quarter because it'll be that type of game. And this is what I got for y'all, man. I appreciate y'all for coming out. I appreciate y'all for enjoying the interviews this week and supporting those as well. This is week 15. We got 4 games left. It's a tough stretch. So make sure you come out and support tomorrow at the watch party. We'll be here watching the game, reacting and commenting and having fun and cracking jokes while the game's going on. So I appreciate y'all for coming out, man. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all chose to be here with me. So like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell if you have not so you can be notified, and share. And on that note,